Hi everyone, welcome to Footyology, eliminating the heavyweights, delighting in the underdog and writing our own finals fairy tale. Short on magic, but big on middle-aged men mulling over the events of last AFL weekend. I'm Rohan Connolly, with me is my co-host Mark Fine, and we're here to feed your finals hunger, picking out all the best bits of the semi-finals, like the caramellos from a box of favourites, leaving the Turkish delight to the others. We've got a special guest today, a former champion Bulldog, coming along to relive some glory days and revel in the Dogs making a serious tilt of a 2016 flag. We've got all your favourites, hot or not, tomorrow's news today, rounds of our lives, keyboard Q&A, the rant off, and that stupid bit at the end when I look like even more of a goose. Let's get going then. As I say, very good afternoon to you, Finey. 4 teams left, 2 grand final spots. Who are we going to see play off?
Oh, yeah, I'm going to wait till the teams. I was keen on Sydney, but I hope they don't play a raft of injured players.
Come on, put your knackers on the line.
Bulldogs versus Sydney.
Okay, well, I'm going for the futuristic and rather less romantic grand final matchup, Sydney GWS.
Well, that is...
How would that be, do you think?
Well, it makes Sydney the epicentre of Australian rules football, which their sporting-loving public will be able to focus on for about 8 seconds.
Yes.
They've got ADD, their sporting
Until
public.
the next shiny toy comes along.
Yeah, that's right. They'll be watching the game and they'll see something on the side, UFC or naked jelly wrestling, and they'll be off watching that. But, oh well, they're 2 good teams. Just because I don't like the city doesn't mean I don't like the 2 teams. By the way, I resemble your remark about the Turkish delight.
What, you like Turkish delight?
Rose hip's my favourite? No, I don't like. I don't.
No one likes Turkish delight. I always go with dark chocolate, so I've never been a dark chocolate person. But we'll get on to serious stuff like that in more detail a bit later. Well, it was a weekend which might have seen the changing of the guard, a powerhouse short-circuited, and a bandwagon begin to overflow with the goodwill of a neutral. Let's cut to the crux of it all in Hot or Not.
Footyology's Hot or Not is proudly brought to you by Trade Institute of Victoria. Start your future today at tiv.vic.edu.au.
Okay, you're up first. Fire away.
This is first for me. They're all hots. I was very upbeat about the weekend's footy. It's
Fair
just
enough.
the way it fell to me. Anyhow, I loved Buddy Franklin's game. Look, Buddy the week before against GWS got a little bit lost on the famed turf of the ANZ Stadium or whatever it's called. But here, back at home, he knows the SCG. He played beautifully. He kicked superbly. And finals are where footballers get their reputations enhanced or damaged. You can't enhance Buddy's reputation because it is 24 carat. But let's not forget how good a footballer he is when it matters. Watch out, Geelong.
No, he was terrific. All right, my turn. I'm going with a hot to start. And it's an obvious one. We touched on it before, but the Western Bulldogs, a true a tale for the football romantics, I guess. What a fantastic win over the Hawks. I think if you stripped away the history and the tradition, I suppose, you probably would have chosen the Bulldogs on form, but I didn't have the guts to do it, nor did a lot of people. But the Doggies just keep coming. You know, they're a great inside team. They've been really good on the outside during the finals as well. And you're right, they're absolutely every chance of not only knocking over the Giants, but winning a flag. Be their first flag for 62 years and first grand final for 55 years. So it's a fantastic story. Fingers crossed it continues.
The thing about the Doggies is people talk about going up to Spotless Stadium. The brand of football they play is they could take it anywhere on the road. They could be playing on Bondi Beach at 3 a.m. on Sunday morning. That style of kamikaze-like tackling, but with common sense, because against Hawthorn they didn't overcommit to the tackler. They were very conscious of the second and third respondent, which is how Hawthorn moved the ball. You give them a task and they do it. You know, so many coaches have used the expression, I know Mick Malthouse used to use it, it's not who, it's how. It's a throwaway line, because for most coaches, who meant everything. This Bulldogs team really is how. I don't care what 22 they pick. I just like them.
Okay, was that your second hot?
No, but I like them.
Okay,
My second
do it
hot.
now.
My second hot is Clarko. No more needs to be said than Clarko. This is the footage. He's went in and obviously Bevo was one of his lieutenants, and just a great thing. You know, look at that. An embrace, a hug, beautiful stuff. Lovely. Well done, Clarko.
Yeah, he's done that sort of stuff before. I remember after they lost the 2012 grand final, he had some very poignant quotes about, like it's not life or death, and it was actually in the midst of a great tragedy with the Jill Maher murder, and I just like when he sees the big picture. I think he's good like that. Now, I agree, good one.
Post-game embraces for Clark Oak, certainly better than with Port Adelaide supporters anyhow.
Yeah, no, true. All right, next up, I've got a knot, and we just touched on it then, Spotless Stadium. Look, this debate's gone on a while, and look, they haven't still sold out the ground, so I think people are saying, well, there you go, that's all we needed. But I don't see it like that. I think the prospect of a sellout crowd has probably led a lot of people not to even bother trying to get tickets, and I don't like the principle of it. This is their first clash against the Bulldogs, round 9 it was, and as you can see, plenty of empty seats that day, but this is a final. I just think, above and beyond everything, it was a great chance to sell the second most important game of the year to the Sydney public. It should have been at the SCG, and I think the argument that it's the Swans' home ground or it sends the wrong message to Western Sydney is rubbish, to be honest. So I'm still a bit antsy about that one. Okay, last one, you're up.
I didn't like the TV show Hello Hello, but I love Alir Alir. I am just shocked at how well he reads the play, how imposing he is in the back line, and quite frankly, he has come so far in such a short period of time. Brett Anderson, who we work with at 11-16 SEN, is all over the draft and young footballers. There were sniggers in the room when he was selected.
Really? By
the Sydney Swans. He was a very, very much a non-footballer when he arrived there, and further back than Megzak Dor, further back than any of our transplanted footballers. And they just thought, what are they wasting their time for? Is this a promotional tool? Have a look how he plays.
He reads the game beautifully. And I mean, to be honest, he made a few cock-ups in the Adelaide game, but he doesn't get down the mouth about it when he does make a mistake. He just goes on and does the next good thing. And they've got the best, in fact, they've got the best defensive record of any side since St Kilda in 2009. And he's been a big part of that because their defence not just negates, it creates. And he's a key position player who creates. So very valuable asset to the Swans and will be for a long time. All right, wrapping it up with another Swan and another hot, and it's Isaac Heaney. Now, if this guy wasn't best on ground on Saturday night, he was damn close to it. What a fantastic game. He's had an up and down sort of season, but I think they pushed him up the ground a bit further, used him running off the wing, and he was just terrific. 32 disposals, got involved in several goals, and look, he can play as a small forward, but I think that showed he can play as a genuine outside midfielder as well. And particularly with Gary Rohan probably not going to play, I think that run will be even more valuable to them this week. So well done, Isaac.
He's got a name like he was a character on Green Acres. He's got a haircut like the kid Oliver on the Brady Bunch when they jumped the shark.
Well, he looks like he should be in the remake of Puberty Blues, doesn't he?
Yeah,
he should be munching on a Chico roll, waxing his board at Bondi or somewhere.
Waxing his, I'm glad you said board. He's from Newcastle, isn't he?
I don't know, to be honest.
I think he is from Newcastle. That is, no footballers come from Newcastle. That is AFL no-go zone.
Did the Johns brothers come from there?
Yeah, but they played NRL.
A different code,
and the third brother was not Courtney.
Right, yes, just as well for Newcastle. All right, time for a short break. When we return, no news is bad news. So on that front, we've got good news. But first, it's off once again to the post-game press conferences where Grant Dickinson's still trying to steal Steve-O's mic so he can ask the pressing questions.
True Peter Gordon's going to stock his private jet with grog and fly the fans to Sydney next week?
Yeah, well, I'd imagine that there'd be quite a few Bulldogs fans and people who want to go. How many can it hold?
24, but 28,000 cans.
Look, it's probably not right for me to get involved in this debate, is it? I'll let you guys take it up.
We specialise in building and construction. We're getting students that are coming from interstate. I mean, that's real acknowledgement for us. TIV, Trade Institute of Victoria, we're proud of our students.
Welcome back to Footyology. It's all happening in the football world right now. Trade whispers, coaching appointments, possible retirements. arguments about premierships won 80 odd years ago. Apparently there's some finals going on too. But whatever it is, our man John Perrick's right across it as he gets ahead of the curve on tomorrow's news today. You always do a little giggle when I do that. I've noticed, JP. It's because it makes you feel like Mike Moore on Frontline, doesn't it?
I think it's a nervous giggle just being near you two sometimes.
Fair enough. I don't blame you, to be honest. All right, what do you got for us?
There's a bit going on at Essendon at the moment, Rowan. John Worsfold's put the heat on Jobe Watson today, giving him a fortnight to make up his mind whether he wants to come back. We know Jobe's been back in town for the past couple of weeks from his trip overseas. I'm surprised he hasn't made a call already. Like, he met the club last week. I would have thought he would have decided straight away whether he wants to get back into it. And the news just coming to hand today is that Michael Hibbert has formally requested a trade to Melbourne next season. I think that the Dons would be after a second round pick for him. How do you see those two fronts at the moment?
Well, they'd resign themselves to the losing Hibbert. Second round, yeah, I think that's probably about right. Jobe, yeah, look, it seems to... I've got to admit I'm a little less confident than I was, and the fact that, you know, he's going back to the States. He has, I don't like delving into personal lives, but he's apparently met a girl and started a new relationship. So, you know, whether that's he's just sort of seeing as much of her as he can. But I like a lot of people, I've seen the sort of physical shape he's in, and I think, well, why would you put yourself through that if you weren't going to play again? Did Facebook for the Age with Wayne Carey yesterday. His theory, and I reckon it makes sense, is that Jobe is waiting for the decision on the Brownlow, and if he retains the Brownlow, he'll play on, and if they strip it from him, he'll basically go up yours, I'm done.
But that may not be for months. That even could be as late as early next season.
Well, maybe he trains on until that prospect.
Why is that relevant, though? I mean, he's the former Essendon captain.
Yeah.
Why does the individual medal handed out by the AFL impact on his decision for the club? Doesn't the club come first?
Because I think if I was him and that happened to me, I'd be disillusioned enough, given my role in the whole scheme of things, to give it away.
No, I'm saying you might feel like that, but that disillusion with the game, but surely gird his loins for a big season with the club. You know, love the club, hate what the rest have done to us.
Yeah, well, it's pretty hard to put yourself in his shoes, given what he's been through, isn't it?
Of course.
Okay.
I expect some movement in Brisbane this week in terms of the coaching role up there. Now David Noble's time at Adelaide, well, the season's finished for the Crows. He's set to take that role up there. He's going to sit on the subcommittee, and then I expect Chris Fagan, his name's prominent and if not favourite for the role. The question Hawthorn sort of has been asking, whether at 55, whether he's really sort of got that sort of hard edge, sort of anger sometimes you need to take on a role like that. Been told John Barker as well is also firming in the role up there if Chris doesn't take it, and perhaps Chris and John could work together in terms of sort of a succession plan.
John Barker, another Brisbane great.
How long was he there for?
About 5 seconds, like most of the others.
Yeah.
But the Fagan one was interesting because his name came up very early. And it's almost like now, I reckon the trend with football coaches now is the left field appointment. So as soon as someone threw up Chris Fagan, I was thinking, well, why would you throw him up out of the blue if there wasn't something to it? And it just hasn't gone away in the speculation. So it looks like he's a very big chance.
And Jimmy Bartell, Chris Scott has been asked today in terms of selection for the game, and he's refused to guarantee Bartell a spot. Are you sort of surprised by that, considering the job he did on Josh Gibson?
I'd be absolutely staggered if he doesn't play. He's one of the, in our age, great finals hero series. He's featured very prominently. He's one of the great finals players of all time. I think they need him particularly against a strong contested team like Sydney. I think they need Josh Cowan too. I think there'll be one change. I think it'll be Henderson in for either Ruggles or Kolajasny.
And the Carlton Giants, as they've been nicknamed by some, they're into James Stewart at the moment, the second round pick in 2012. He only played the one senior game this year, but the Pies are also interested in him as well. Of course, they could have taken him as a father and son a few years ago, opted to overlook him, but he clearly looks like he's out of the Giants and could help fill a role, certainly at Carlton, where they desperately need a forward.
Wasn't there some angst with the Stewart family and the way that was handled by Collingwood at the time?
Yeah, Craig Stewart wasn't happy that the Pies informed his son that they weren't going to take him about a fortnight before his Year 12 exams. So it was sort of a pressure-packed time, as we know, at that stage of a teenager's life, and to be told that he wasn't going to go to a club he thought he was a good shot at sort of really hit him. So, but Gubby Allen's now at Collingwood. Gubby Allen was the man who took him at Collingwood, and Gubby, of course, played with Craig
at Gold Coast. Gubby took him at Gold Coast. Yeah, look,
GWS.
Oh, pardon me, GWS.
Yeah,
look, I think Carlton are in dangerous territory now. You can't have too many players from a former club, I believe, from another club.
Yeah, well, it helped win St Kilda some reserves flags, didn't it?
That's
And
the
the
idea.
And
From Carlton.
Spiro
He helped
Corcomelis,
Carlton with some
Marco.
reserves flags. Yeah, that's right. Please tell me that James Stewart's nickname is Hollywood. Surely.
I would have thought so. Yeah.
We'll get back to you
we'll
on
get back
that.
to that one.
Oh,
yeah.
they wouldn't know James
Let's
Stewart,
just see
his
him out in the
teammates.
field first.
What, they don't watch old movies?
Mr. Smith goes to Washington.
Oh, no, kids today. All right, thanks for that. Good work from you. You'll be hanging around for our big interview coming up. Actually, we mentioned injuries before. Probably time for an injury update. What have you got some latest news on Gary Rohan?
Yeah, I do. Obviously, a big shock that they're talking about him possibly playing this week. He's still on crutches, but there is a remedy. There is a balm coming out of the US, and I've got some footage here of Hubert Hugsmiggle. Now, he was no chance to make the Pasadena annual hootenanny until he applied this balm, and as I said, Rohan on crutches, there is still hope. Have a look at this.
Wow, that injury's really aged him, hasn't it?
Well, that's Hubert Hugsmiggle. I mean, look, he was no chance for the hootenanny, so Rohan must be some chance for the preliminary final.
I always wondered what a hootenanny actually was, but it sounds good. Sounds like I'd want to be part of it. All right, another quick break, and when we come back, it's a blast from the past with a former Bulldog.
Impact at the time, at the source, on the contest, and being able to impose your will on the opposition, and at times, in particular the second half, we're able to do that pretty well.
A little bit like Roko's rant off.
Sorry?
Like Roko's rant off?
Exactly, yeah. He's one of the best at it.
Oh, he thinks so. Would you like us to send you a tape of it?
Look, I think everyone's okay. Yep.
Okay, thanks,
Okay,
John.
thanks.
Welcome back. These are... Hey, what are you doing here again?
Musical
That means
chairs.
interview time. These are high times for the Western Bulldogs. Several generations of former doggies, not to mention their fans, hoping this version can go a couple of steps further than their predecessors. But they have had some great teams and great stars over the journey, and one of the very biggest from the 1980s joins us now, a great goal kicker, none other than Simon Beasley. Thanks for joining us, Simon.
Rohan, thanks for having me, mate. Yeah.
Well, we have seen several generations of great Footscray teams. Yours in the mid-80s, obviously, but we've had since then Terry Wallace's version, Rodney Eade's version. How do you reckon the Luke Beveridge version stacks up with those?
Yes, I think it's a pretty, a very, very impressive version. You know, he's a fantastic coach, Beveridge, and they've recruited very, very well. So, you know, it's right up there. The brand of football they play is incredible. Great to watch. I haven't missed many games this year, so we hope it continues.
Do you still have a strong emotional attachment to the club?
Yes, I do. You know, having played there in the 80s, and you know, when I joined the club at the end of 81, we were struggling. You know, we were doing it pretty tough. But you know, Mick Malthouse came on the scene after Royce Hart and Bluey Hampshire coached, and you know, we sort of started to get our act together. It was really good, and we were the club went through a big revival, tapered off towards sort of the end of the 80s, but it was really good to be part of. So, yeah, I had a great time there.
1985, I mean, you would have taken a bit of pleasure in seeing Hawthorn getting knocked out by the Doggies, because they were your tormentors in 85. The first final was a disaster.
It was, yeah. We got thrashed at the MCG, and it was, you know, we got beaten in the last game at the home and away at Moorabbin, which is a bit of a soul destroyer for a lot of teams, not just us. So we went into that MCG game against Hawthorn sort of not a lot of confidence, but bounced back against North Melbourne second week of the finals, and they beat us sort of by the 10 points in the prelim. And it was a case of sort of Lee Matthews in that 5-minute period, the middle of the last quarter, really firing up, and he put us to the sword.
Well, I think we've got some footage of those times too. We actually spoke to Mick Malthouse on SEN last Friday night about the 85 final series, and his memory was that a lot of the players, and perhaps even he, got a bit caught up in the moment of just making the finals, and he was talking about like receptions and stuff going on in the city of Footscray.
Yeah, look, I don't know so much about that. You know, it was the first time it appeared in the finals for a number of years, and you really, as a player, you're focused on the job in hand. You really don't look back at what's happened in the past and what's happening sort of around you in terms of functions and the like. So, look, we were a bit unlucky. We had them on toast really, Hawthorn, that day, and it was sort of and Brad Hardy was playing brilliantly, but of course, Matthews got off the leash in the last quarter, and Brad was supposed to be on leave. I don't know what the situation was, but unfortunately, it wasn't our day.
Yeah, well, he did. It's sort of a hot topic of discussion what happened in that game, because he really did have it all over Lethal for 3 quarters, didn't he? And of course, Matthews came off the bench. Did Brad play a bit loose on him? But is it fair to say that was the genesis of the falling out of Brad Hardy and Mick Malthouse?
I think certainly, I think with the benefit of hindsight, when you look at that game, I reckon maybe Mickey should have put Brian Cordy onto Matthews. He would have closed him down. Brian Cordy is a really hard, tough player. He's the father of sort of Ace Cordy and Zane Cordy. I reckon Brian would have closed him down, whereas sort of Brad was a freelancer. He was all over the place, and Matthews took advantage of that, and he was incredible in that 5-minute period. And they I think they were about 2 goals behind us, Hawthorn, at one stage in the last, and they turned it around to sort of 10-point advantage and held on to it.
You guys fancied yourselves against Essendon too. They'd only lost 3 games all year, but one of them was to you guys, and you thought you were perhaps a better chance against them than Hawthorn.
I reckon Essendon and Kevin Sheedy would have been very, very, very pleased the fact that we didn't get over Hawthorn in that prelim, because Essendon was a team that we certainly handled well.
You're going to be getting on the 4 a.m. bus up to GWS?
No, I'm not going up. I'm sending my son up representing the family. He's got 3 or 4 mates, and they're absolutely died in the Bulldoggies. And I've discovered last night that the grandfather of one of the boys has got a Bentley, so they're travelling in style on Friday, going to Sydney for the game. So look, I've seen the last 6 preliminary finals that we've been beaten on. I think I'm a bit of a moz, so we've got family friends coming Saturday afternoon for a big day.
So what would a flag mean to the brand of the Dogs? We know what they generally stand for, but would this take the club up and...
Well, it would be the icing on the cake for us. We have a lot of past players' functions, and there's not too many guys left from the 54 side. There's only about 8 or 9, and we really need as a club, we need to hang our hat on something. Yep. And if we're able to win a flag, that would certainly be the ultimate, and I think we need to do that, yeah.
Fair bit of trepidation heading into a prelim. There was yours in 85, 92, then on to 97, 98, and then the 3... I think 2008, 9 and 10.
Yep.
And for Bulldogs fans, it's interesting. As a St Kilda fan, I tell them you do not want to be in a grand final if you lose. But every Bulldog fan that I know absolutely wants to be in a grand final. The first thing is to see a grand final. Most haven't. Just the week, the build-up. It really is 2 steps, isn't it, for the Doggies?
Yeah, look, I don't think the history really, in terms of the fact that we haven't been able to win the prelim through to the grand final, I don't think that has any effect on the players whatsoever. I mean, the players are creating their own destiny. They're doing their own things. So what's happened in the past happened in the past. So look, I really, you look at this team and what they've been able to achieve so far. It's been and against a lot of odds. Come back to the Fremantle game, we go to West Coast with the unwinnable game over there in Perth. Then we beat Hawthorn. Look, they're creating their own history, and I think it can continue this weekend.
Is it true that I think one of the finals, I'm not sure which one, they met at Luke Darcy, the depot, and then they walked over to the MCG. This is before a prelim with one of the 54 greats, and he walked them through the MCG on a Thursday night or something. Isn't that something you do before a grand final, not a preliminary final?
Well, I don't know about that story. I've never heard that, actually, to tell you the truth. It may have happened, but maybe it should. They should have waited a week. But you're going to get in front of ourselves. People keep saying to me this week, we're going to win, and sort of, going to get through to the grand final, and there's this expectation. But I'm just sort of low key. You just you hope, and you hope for the best. I mean, it's a big game against the Giants in terms of I think you got one of you guys mentioned the stadium won't hold any fears for our guys because they play that really tight, relentless game. And both sides do play that way. And our eye and hand skills are incredible. Incredible the way they move the ball as quickly as they do. So I don't think the stadium will hold any problems whatsoever for us.
Now, we've just had a quick look through the archives and we've dug up some of you in action, Simon. I think we've got your 100th goal here, 1985, which was in the... Melbourne, take us through this.
So pack mark there. So in the old days they used to run out, but yeah, no, it was a great personal moment. It was a great day for the club. We sort of we did very well against North that day. And
although the fans didn't run on the ground because it was a final, did they?
No, they did.
Yeah,
They
did.
did. They came out.
Yeah, and
they came out. Certainly.
There was one fan who chased Simon for quite a bit.
Yeah, so it was a great moment. I can't remember actually who kicked the ball into the forward line, but anyway, look, the ball stuck and was good. Everything worked out well that day.
Dougie Hawkins had one of the great final series that September, didn't he? I mean, he played, I think he was BOG in that game, and then the next week in that preliminary final we spoke about, he and Dipper had one of the great individual duels on the wing. Yeah,
no, they went head to head. I think Dougie certainly came out on top of Dipper. Dipper acknowledges that Hawkins is one of his most difficult opponents. Hawkins was just a superb footballer. I mean, most probably Hawkins, I'd have to rate him as the best I played with and the best I ever saw. So he was just incredible, Hawkins. The skills were just amazing.
Back to today and the game in prospect, full forwards are certainly not what they used to be, but they might come to play in the game between the Doggies and GWS because they do have some power marking forwards, Cameron, Patton and even Rory Lobb. Do you think that the Dogs need to bolster their height in defence? That seems to be one place where the GWS could get them.
Well, I don't think so. I mean, Dale Morris and Bordy hold themselves well in terms of forward opponents. Most of the year they've done a pretty good job. So I don't think I've got real concerns. I think if we can exert enough midfield pressure and limit the amount of supply into that forward line, I think that's going to be the key to this game. So if we can do that, we'll limit their opportunities.
And that's a midfield that has a former Bulldogs captain and a former Bulldog up-and-coming star in Griffin and Ward. I mean,
imagine if they were part of it now.
Yeah, there's a lot of irony in the game, isn't there? And I mean, Ryan Griffin, I think Ryan most probably was at a stage of his career, most probably had the shift, but Callan Ward was a young guy and he was an absolute marquee player of ours, and I was a bit dirty on the fact that he got away from us because he was a player we really should have held on to.
And the coach, of course.
Well, the coach is the other one, but we've done all right in that area, so we're not unhappy about that.
How good do you think Marcus Bontempelli can be, Simon?
Well, he can be anything, isn't he? 20 years of age, and he's got he's such a level-headed, cool customer, isn't he? Nothing really seems to worry too much, and and he gets away from his opponent. I think one of the telling moments at Friday night's game against Hawthorn was Ruffhead's kick into the forward line. He was behind Hodge and held his ground against Hodge, and then back and just took the mark. And it was just incredible. So he's a beautiful player to watch, Bontempelli, and his form's been just so consistent. Players when they get to that level, you think they taper off a little bit up and down, but he's very, very level-headed. So and he's a class act. He's a beautiful player to watch.
It's a massive day for the club Saturday, isn't it? Without sort of labouring the point, the ghosts of Lee Matthews, the ghosts of Libba's non-goal in 97 and Darren Jarman. Are you nervous?
Well, yes and no a bit. I mean, I think I get more nervous going to the finals games these days rather than when I played. It's funny. You sit there as a supporter and there's so much history and everything like that. But as I said earlier, they're carving their own niche in history. These guys, they don't have to worry about what's happened in the past, and they're relentless in the way they go about it. And I think that they're the sort of team they'll get a result.
Well, I think it's fair to say someone used this in a very different context, I'm sure, but on Saturday we're all Bulldogs. I think good luck and hope what's a great football fairy tale continues. Thanks for joining us.
No, that's a pleasure. What about the banner last Friday night with the Hawthorn banner, the Bulldog banner? Did you see it?
Danny McGinlay does. What did it say?
And he's very, very good. He said they've got 75,000 members and we've got 24 million supporters. Because and it was apt. It was incredible.
I like that.
Everyone's second favourite team.
He came up with a good one when they played Melbourne. It was about we'll be cheering while you're just worried about negative gearing. Or something.
Yeah, that's right. He's very, very good.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. It's been terrific to talk to you. Another break now. When we come back, it's time to thrill to the greatest finals hits of yesteryear on our show's version of Gold FM. Thanks for joining us here at Footyology. Well, if you want finals classics, this is your segment. The semi-finals over the years have delivered enough heart stoppers to wear out several defibrillators, and we're going to have a look at the very best of them. Because like Drew Morfitt's Mod Squad semi-afro and wing-killed collar, so are the rounds of our lives. Okay, Finey, we're going into overdrive with this segment because people just can't get enough of finals nostalgia. We've got some absolute rippers today. In fact, I'd go so far as to say this might be our best collection of highlights yet. We're starting number 5 on our list, all the way back to 1972. It's the first year of the Final Five and the second final ever played at Waverley, Finey, between Carlton and Richmond, the two great powers of that era. It's neck and neck all day, a low-scoring tussle. Who's going to get through to the grand final? Let's see what happens.
Can't control it so far. He's picked it up. He swings back from the centre wing. He looks for Kennedy. Kennedy leaning toward the ball. The ball tricks in. The bounce was bad, but well played. Kennedy got it in now. A short pass comes unstuck to Walls. Walls straightens up. Here's Peter Jones in the goal square. Into the open goal. Jones, a goal. The scores are level once again at the 15-minute mark of the final term. What a finish. He's caught. Got one to Coming half forward. A short pass into the forward pocket. And the mark has been taken by Marty McMillan. Where McMillan has already kicked 2 goals, coming in trying for 3. McMillan bobs up on the scene. It's on, it's good. It's a goal, I say. Yes, it's a goal. And Richmond in front. They've moved their score on now to be 4 points in front. And good football, Marty McMillan. From half-time, he has kicked 3 goals for the Tigers. Holes there. Been taken by O'Connell. The left foot from O'Connell coming down towards Sproul. Can't take it. Desalenko weaves his way through. He's still got it. A hand pass out. A chance for Calvin. Lucas, a short one. In the ward Walls. Won't get it. Play on. There's a chance. Oh, strong. It's a goal. They're level. The scores are level. 29 minutes and 20 seconds into the final quarter. Gallagher comes out. Hooks it back around towards Desalenko. Desalenko at half. The siren has sounded. It's a draw. Carlton and Richmond have drawn on 8 goals, 13, 61 points. So next week, the kick from Desalenko after the siren won't score, and it's a draw. So next week, we'll see these two great sides compete again.
All right, so you can fill us in. What happened immediately after the siren?
I can't remember.
Enraged Richmond supporter came on and belted umpire Ian Coates.
Yeah, I wasn't aware
I thought
of
we
that.
talked about that previously. Sorry, it's probably just my stupid train spotting memory. But yeah, there was a real dust up after that. Not pleasant scenes at all. Of course, no extra time in those days. Richmond came out and promptly thumped the Blues by 41 points in the replay. Unbackable favourites to the grand final. Then what happened?
Then we had the highest scoring grand final ever. Richmond actually scored more than any other team had ever scored in a grand final.
They equalled the previous grand final record. The final scoreline, 28-9-177. Jezelenko 7, Wall 6, Nichols 6.
Nichols got goals.
Defeated Richmond 22-18-150.
And interestingly, the full forward for Carlton that day was dropped for the grand final.
Greg Kennedy.
Greg Kennedy.
Yeah.
Who earlier in the season had kicked, I reckon, a bag of 12, I think in that year, including a game against Hawthorn where he kicked a goal and then got flattened after he kicked it and got given another goal in the goal square.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Marty McMillan, who you saw kick a goal there, I don't think he played in the grand final for the Tigers either. Anyway, good start. Well, we've got more neck-and-neck finals games for you. Now we go back to 2007. The venue is Subiaco. We do have extra time in finals by now. It's West Coast and Collingwood. Scores are locked. Let's see what happens.
Davis, still with Davis. Good player to have the footy. Kicks to Rocker. No free kick. Medhurst comes across. Brilliantly done by Medhurst. Can't quite get it away. Hearn dropped it. Ball comes to Prittis. Prittis gets it forward. Jones sits and waits. Well done, Didak. Burns scrambles it forward. Selwood brilliant. Pressure on. Medhurst can't quite get a kick away. Rocker. Still with Rocker. Prittis searching for it. Footy still 20 metres out. Somebody do something.
Subiaco Oval pulsating now. Hooked down behind the pack. I think it was Cox's hand. The boot of O'Brien. Pendlebury slaps it in the direction of Clark. O'Brien was dragged down. Eagles will leave some pressure. Staker scrambles a kick back to midfield.
One last chance.
5 seconds to go. Clement drives it back. It should be a mark behind a Lynch, and it is. We're going to overtime. Darling Thomas found it on the deck. Lays it off. O'Brien gets a quick kick inside the 50. 2 Eagles collide. Bounces off the chest of Stengline. Rocker's got it. Slips it away to Medhurst. Across it comes to Bryan. Collingwood lead. Clark taken by Thomas. Selwood got him. Cloaks over the football. Just keeps it going. Well played to Clark. This could be the ball game. Nobody is up ahead. Pendlebury, the youngster, goes in and kicks the goal. Braun finessing at half back. No time for that. Swan's got it. Pendlebury about 40 metres out. Back to Swan. Well, this will be the icing on a black and white cake. Collingwood are through.
Well, it was a great win by the Pies, who, of course, the very next week went on and nearly upset another hot favourite in Geelong in the preliminary final.
That was fantastic footage, wasn't it?
That last minute of normal time, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the umpire, play on. Bruce McAvaney exasperated. And you know it was a long time ago because there was still a little bit of real estate on Dane Swan's arms for tattooing work.
Yes. They were a bit stiff too, the Eagles, that final series, because they just lost to Port the week before, and then in that game, no Judd, no Cousins from memory. So, they were doing it inhibited by the loss of a couple of stars. Still nearly won, but yeah, the Pies came from nowhere that year, and it was probably the start of them getting them on the road to the 2010 Premiership. All right, let's move on to number 3 on the list. Now, a lot of people, Finey, reckon this is close to the best final ever played. It was it had everything. It was fast. It was end to end. 2 great rivals. Tough individual heroics. It's 1984. It's the second semi-final for a spot in the grand final between Hawthorn and Essendon.
They'll do the ruck work. Knocked over the back by Byrne. He's found Judge. Judge trying to get onto the right foot to shoot for goal, which he does. Any score will put Hawthorn in front, and I think he's put it through for a goal. That's 3 goals to Judge. Hawthorn lead by 6 points in the final term.
Over there to Danaher, fumbles, but he clears okay now. He goes for a short pass. This looks dangerous as we see Baker running to an open goal. Fires. It'll be good, a goal. So the difference now only 1 point. That's 3 goals to Baker. Played very well since quarter time. A point the difference. The kick is on its way. It's a high one. It's a pretty good one. Now it's touched on the line and scores a dead level. A goal.
Spoons it out to Weed. They need a goal badly. Hawthorn up to Matthews and Duckworth. Duckworth again going the punch. He's played a ripper game down there. McCarthy. Here's Matthews though. The rebound. He's got it onto Loveridge. Loveridge shoots. It's there. Hawthorn are back in front. What a game we've got at the MCG.
Robertson. Hawthorn swing back into attack. A chance for Reid to mark. He's got it. And he's only about 30 metres out. And if he kicks this one, he'll put them in front by 8 points. And it could be the end of the ball game for Essendon. We're at the 28-minute mark. And I reckon it'll go about 31 minutes this quarter.
You'll be lucky to go that long, I think, Lou. Won't go 31.
Oh, the game resting on the shoulders of Rodney Eaton as he comes in for the kick.
There it is, the siren's gone, it won't matter.
And there's the goal, and Hawthorn have won. They go into the grand final for 1984. The final scores at the MCG. Peter Landy jumping out of his skin. 16-17, 113 to Essendon 15-15, 105.
Tremendous game, Finey. A few of us more pessimistic 19-year-old Essendon supporters thought Essendon might go out in straight sets after that, but managed to beat Collingwood by a lazy 130-odd points in the preliminary and turn the tables on the Hawks in the grand final.
I actually remember Peter Landy. It won't matter.
Yeah, did a bit. Wasn't averse to a bit of barracking, but funnily enough, in the grand final, he got all negative because it's about a point the difference going into time on, and his famous comment was, "If it's a draw, I hope it's warmer next week, Lou." Great game. Robert Di Domenico played a ripper that day. Kicked 4 goals from the wing, 4 goals for. Had 24 disposals. Essendon managed to shut him down with Shane Hurd in the grand final. Tim Watson was terrific for the Bombers with 30 touches. Ken Judge, who you saw, the late Ken Judge, sadly, saw him kick a goal before he got shut down in the grand final by Glenn Hawker. So it was one of those situations where Essendon got a good look at them and they've been getting closer and closer and then finally overcame them in the grand final.
Yeah, it was we'd almost come to the point after that second semi-final of ownership. But 2 great weeks for the Bombers and it became a great rivalry, one over the other.
Exactly what Collingwood did to Essendon in 1990. All right, number 2. Now, if you haven't seen this game, I urge you strongly to dig up as much footage of it as you can because it's one of my very favourite finals, Finey. It's 1981. It's the first semi-final. It's Collingwood-Fitzroy. Collingwood have been beaten the week before by Geelong. Fitzroy have beaten Essendon in an elimination final. Collingwood has it all over the lines early. They're 38 points up at half-time, but a Fitzroy comeback ensues, and then an absolute blistering last quarter. 12 goals kicked by both teams, goal for goal. Let's go to the highlights.
Backing himself out, good football by Davis as he puts the long kick towards centre half forward. Rene kick out position on that occasion, snapped up by Dacos, he goes towards goal. It's a beautiful kick by Dacos, and the margin now only 2 points. The left foot kick from Parrish in the front position. Rendell almost took the mark. It's called play on as Quinlan swoops on the ball, goes towards goal. And there's another one from Quinlan, his second, and Fitzroy back in front again. He brings the ball in towards goal. A chance for the high flyers. No high flyers in this one as Poynton swoops on the ball. Gets a hand pass out towards Lewis. He steadies, gives it across now. A chance of a goal as Laurie puts it forward. It's right through the centre. Great play by Laurie. His second, and once again it's 8 points in front to Fitzroy. 10 points the difference now. 27.5 minutes have gone. Dacos kicks a goal. So it's back they come. Collingwood coming back after that goal kicked by Dacos. It went too far for Olsen. The Collingwood acting skipper in Ray Shaw puts the short pass forward. Craig Davis. No mark by Davis, but it's a push in the back. And Craig Davis, a beautiful kick of the football. But whether he can make the distance at this stage of the game, it's hard to say. But Davis now, with 3 goals on the board, hopeful of making it 4. Can he make the distance? It's a beautiful kick from Davis right up to the goal square. Players fly high. It's grabbed up over the shoulder. Collingwood have hit the front. A beautiful goal by Ross Brewer. A great goal, in fact. And it may be the match winner as Brewer kicks his 3rd goal. And from the centre, Pippin goes for a short pass into the half-forward zone. It's been tapped away and picked up by Olsen. Given to Barham. Barham goes goalward. It's dropping short. And Collingwood have won this game. Collingwood have taken out the first semi-final by 1 point. 19 goals it is, 19-19 to 19-18, and Collingwood have won the first semi-final by 1 point over Fitzroy.
The Lions, they didn't have a lot of luck in finals. Of course, they lost the qualifying to Hawthorn by a kick a couple of years later, but that is just a magnificent quarter of footy.
I can do a Rohan Connolly here.
What?
I was there. Yeah, a few Fitzroy mates went to the game and just... They were such an oddity in the finals, Fitzroy, just to see little splashes of maroon, blue and yellow in a sea of black and white. Easy to love Fitzroy back in the day. And they just about had that game on toast. You know, when you were 10 points up there at the 27.5 minute mark, you felt that it was over. Ross Brewer, if he didn't kick that goal, you'd be hard-pressed to remember he went from Melbourne to Collingwood.
Well, I'm going to match I was there. I was at Waverley watching the Carlton-Geelong second semi-final being played at the same time with a transistor radio. Carlton had that game shot to ribbons. We had about 100 people gathered around our treaty listening to the last few minutes. All right, we've got to move on. There can only be one number one, funnily enough. But this is a ripper. I'm sure everyone remembers it. We've seen a lot of it this week, given the game we're about to witness at the G on Friday night. It's Sydney and Geelong. It's 2005. It's a semi-final. The Cats are leading a low-scoring contest. Sydney, early in the last quarter, have still only kicked 3 goals for the entire game. David Johnson kicks a goal for Geelong, puts the Cats 22 points up, and then magic ensues. Let's see the man who delivered it.
They're not going to do it this way. You've got to do something
Davis,
radical.
a chance from the pocket. Davis kicks a beauty. Here come the Swans.
Long from O'Keefe, long and strong. Nick Davis is the hope. He's the hope. Will he be the hero? He's kicked 19-8 from set shots this year.
Bravo! Unbelievable. Chance for Connelly. Davis has kicked 2. He snaps from 40. Don't tell me. He's kicked a goal. Unbelievable stuff from Nick Davis. Can you believe this?
Crouch couldn't take it.
Oh, how's that?
Ablett. This is unbelievable stuff. Will someone stand up? O'Keefe stood, but just as soon as he stood, he was constrained, he was handcuffed, he was shoved to the ground. Siren could go any second. Swans need a goal. Nick Davis!
boots a ball. Super goal. Unbelievable stuff. Nick Davis has kicked 4 final quarter goals. Is there time for the Cats? Is there one more roll of the dice for Geelong? They've led it all night, the Cats. What can they muster here? There must be just seconds left. That's it. It's all over. The Swans into a preliminary final. What a game. What a game of Australian rules football. The Sydney Swans, something from nothing. They were no chance in this game. And the hero is that man, Nick Davis. 4 final quarter goals. Unbelievable.
Well, not a lot more you can say there other than I'll just add, it's one of my favourite pieces of commentary too. Anthony Hudson, despite the fact he barracked for Geelong, that everyone remembers that. I see it, but I don't believe it. And Michael Christian getting unusually excited for him at the end there. Just great calling, boys.
Do you know what that line is? Not that he usurped it, but that line was a famous line. I think I'm laughing. I see it, but I don't believe it.
But they were laughing when they said that. I suspect deep down Hutto was crying. But great memories. Let's see. Not tipping any one side, but let's see something similar on Friday night. I think we'd all be better for it. Let's get to a break. When we return, give us a question and we'll give you something approximating an answer. Thanks for joining us here on Footyology. So how long is a piece of string? Why do I mangle my words? Why a duck? What possessed Richie to pick Alex over Nikki on The Bachelor? We've got no idea and no interest in finding out. But send us in your football questions using the Footyology hashtag, and Finey and me promise to be the full bottle. It's time for Keyboard Q&A. Okay, you know how this works. We whip through them. You read the name, I read the question. Go.
Bergie.
Bergie, Rio Mira to Hawthorn. If the Suns play hardball, could Hawks not broker a deal with Essendon for pick number 1 in the pre-season draft? All yours.
You can't trade pre-season draft picks, I don't believe.
I don't think you can.
No.
We're going to look foolish here.
No, you can't. No one's ever traded a pre-season draft pick.
I don't recall that, but they keep changing the rules, Finey.
You can't.
Okay.
I'm going to go out on a limb that won't break.
All right. You sure you can't trade your 2028 father-son Northern Academy Future Stars pick for...
a picnic bar? Yes, you can.
I don't know. It's all got too complex. Next tweet, please. From?
Johnson Von Trapp.
Who, a.k.a. Andrew Burt in New York. Good friend of the show. From the 4 clubs, which legend should hand the cup to the captain and coach, provided they win the premiership? Good call. Yeah. Okay, you start.
From the Bulldogs, Dougie Hawkins.
Okay, from Sydney, Paul Roos.
From GWS.
Oh, you're supposed to leave that till last. That's the punchline.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, I've got a good one for GWS. I wanted to jump in. From Geelong, you know what? And I'm serious about this.
Say Sam Newman.
And I'm serious about it.
Yeah, no, 300 game player.
And like Lonergan, he gave of himself.
Yeah, no problem. And GWS? It's a former GWS identity.
No, I reckon
long
Steve.
And storied history.
I reckon Steve Johnson.
What, present it to himself?
Yeah, just as a.
It's going to be a bit of a problem if they win it, isn't it? Oh, in all seriousness, who
well, it's got to be somebody from.
You know who it would be? Kevin Sheedy.
It would be Kevin Sheedy, but I don't think that's right. It's got to be somebody who's been there and sort of
done the hard yards.
Yeah, moved on and retired and.
Kevin Sheedy.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, well, there's some food for thought if GWS win it. Okay, next tweet.
Israel Folau.
That's good. Okay, who's it from?
Kale Volokakis.
Okay, Kale says, what does the public need more, a soul-enriching Dogs flag or a Blade Runner replicant GWS flag? I like that analogy. A lot of people have suggested that good versus evil playoff, haven't they? I like Blade Runner. It was a good movie.
And I like GWS. They're a good team.
I like watching them play, yeah.
I like them.
But you know what it means? You go back to, we talked about the 97 preliminary. I mean, it's got that, I must admit, I've had a few flashes this week of, that was the sort of anti-romance premiership, wasn't it? Because everyone thought it was going to be the Bulldogs and St Kilda, the Cinderella clubs, and Adelaide beat them both.
Yeah, Look, I don't like GWS's name. I don't like the name GWS for starters. I don't want to see that on a list of premiership winners.
It's a bit...
It sounds like a financial problem that a country has come into. The GWS last week was blamed on... I don't like their colours. I don't like the city they play in, but I like them. And it's like choosing between two children. You know, sort of a much loved child that you've had for a long time. And
Sophie's choice.
Yeah, and then a son-in-law that's come in the family but sort of brought a lot of money with him. I'll go the son-in-law. No, I want Footscray to win.
Okay, well, we're going to wrap it up there. We'll sorry to those tweets that couldn't get through.
Happens.
We'll do it next week if we can control Finey's impromptu rambles. So that was a good one, though.
Thank you.
A final break now, but hang in there, because if you don't, we know where you live.
Do you think the boys were put off when Hawthorn came out on provocative chorus dancing after half-time?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's a tendency against very good sides who use their legs and are pretty quick to be a bit standoffish and hope they don't get around you and all that sort of stuff.
Welcome back. 4 finalists down, 4 left in the hunt. But there's 2 grumpy old buggers still standing here at Footyology. And we're not going anywhere because finals demand an even higher level of outrage. And only we can deliver it on the Footyology Rant. We haven't got long, so channel your outrage into a very concise rant.
Were you Godzilla in the school play?
Oh, well, I wish I had been. I was thwarted in my ambition. 3, 2, 1, rant.
Are you heading to the Brownlow Medal on Monday night or maybe planning to watch it on TV? Don't. Complete waste of time. Paddy Dangerfield wins the 2016 Brownlow Medal. We know that. The AFLPA MVP was held last week. It was close. Martin third, 293. Second, Sloane, 442. And then just ahead of him, Paddy Dangerfield on 1,392 votes. This thing's a fait accompli. And let's be honest, it's not the sort of thing you want to watch if you know the result. I mean, how many times have you watched a replay of the Brownlow Medal? There's not a lot of sidebar entertainment anymore either. WAGs are no longer politically correct, so forget the rotating display for the wives and girlfriends. It was a good idea. I think it must have been invented by somebody who'd warmed up a curry last night in a microwave. No suits like Teasdale's because everybody has now a dress code, all black. So forget the brown velour. There's not going to be any drunken shenanigans because Fev doesn't play anymore. He might be there, but he's got a burgeoning FM radio career to protect. And quite frankly, there's not a lot of reason that you want to watch the Brownlow Medal. It's done, it's dusted, it's Dangerfield's. What, you didn't like it?
This is what I thought of it.
Who's that? Oh, that's like the deputy, that's the opposition leader in Britain.
Yeah.
Imagine if we had prime ministers and presidents, Trump, Mr. Bean.
No, I don't want to think
and
about
Malcolm.
it. I don't want to think about it. I don't know what else to... Oh, yeah, you've got to count me in.
Okay.
This is going well.
Second semi, preliminary, grand.
I don't know what Alistair Clarkson's playing at, Finey. Graciously goes in the Bulldogs' rooms to congratulate them on a great win, then proceeds to tear down a legend of the game. Questioning the worth of Collingwood's 4 flags in a row from 1927 to 30, that's football blasphemy. You just don't go there. Well, not unless you want one of John Wren's descendants to put a contract out for a hit on you. Those old magpies of yore were so great they called them the machine. And given it was so long ago they hadn't invented electricity yet, a machine powered by ropes, pulleys and a hamster wheel. There's only one way to settle this debate, and that's to have Hawthorn next year recreate the conditions in which the Pies of the 1920s did their stuff. That's right, we need to have Jack Gunston wearing knickerbockers, a vat of Brill cream on his hair and old nails in his boots instead of screw-in stops, because that was good enough for Gordon Coventry. There'll be no coming off the ground for Luke Hodge every time he cops a head wound. He'll have to do what Harry Collier would have done. Bottle of blood and pass it around for refreshments at quarter time. That's how tough those Pies were. And if the Hawks think they're going to go into a game all rested, they've got another thing coming. Like any self-respecting magpie did in the 1920s, they'll be working all day beforehand down a coal mine, knocking off just in time to grab a horse and cart to the MCG, then doing a second shift at the CUB brewery after the game. That'll sort out which of these great football teams was better. And my money's on the Magpies, because they also fought and died in 6 world wars so we could have these sort of useful arguments. And you tell that to the kids today and they won't believe you.
It takes a Monty Python, but wonderful work.
Appropriated, yeah. Well, I was channeling the anger I felt when we didn't get that footage up at the time. We should have.
They were a great team, the team from 27 to 30, just very quickly.
You're old enough to see them?
No, but they were so strong in one of those years, they actually are accused, and apparently it was true, of intentionally losing their only game of the year, the semi-final against Richmond, so they could get extra match payments, it was during the Depression, in a preliminary final, and then went on to thrash Richmond in the grand final.
A likely story, but I'll buy it. Okay, well, that's it for another week. Thanks for watching. We're on every Tuesday at 12 p.m, live on Facebook, uploaded on YouTube, 7:30 p.m. on Channel 31, Thursday nights on Foxtel's Aurora, and on Finey's Mum's projected 24 hours a day. And if you miss all that, heed Metallica's warning in the lyrical masterpiece that is Enter Sandman. Sleep with one eye open, gripping your pillow tight. Exit light, enter night. Turn on TV. We're watching Footyology. See you next week.
You know, with all the programs they've had in place and the youth girls coming through, like I went and watched the Youth Girls Carnival a couple of months ago and I was blown away. Like they were, you know, the skill level and the way they moved the ball was phenomenal. So the skill is definitely there.